Okay, so to pick up where I left off in the last episode, I couldn't resist sneaking out here in the evening and wanted to get started to see how hard it's going to be to continue with the floor. So I don't know, I think it's gonna be pretty level because this tongue and groove is not very forgiving, but I mean, I'll keep trying. I had a little scrap piece here that I notched out to fit under this hose to kind of give you an idea of what I'm up to here. So it should look something like that. And then, like I say, I'm going to put a little stainless steel piece of trim here to hold this down, and then maybe up top I'll maybe put screws it to the floor, and then I haven't decided yet. Maybe put screws at the back, or perhaps just a seat squeezing it down will hold it in place, and then along the edge another little stainless steel strip. So I don't know, she might work. I'll keep picking away at it and see how far I get. So this stuff seems to be pretty easy to work with. It's not a wood composite, it's a vinyl board with a rubberized bottom. It's made for bathrooms, so I don't think it's going to be a big deal with water damage. And you know, I'm just kind of learning as I go here. If you've been watching this series, you know that I'm just figuring out as I go along. But I think this is going to work okay. At least I hope it will. This stuff's pretty easy to work with though, so you just score it like you do sheetrock, like I said, and then you just break off the end. Make sure you get a nice straight cut there. You just give it a little pop like that, and then just cut it off, and then you can kind of clean it up. So that's basically it. And then I'm just going to keep drilling out the holes, and then you know, notching out around the shifters, that type of thing. So hope it works. So I'm just working my way across here. I just notched this guy out for the other side of this shifter, and then just need to confirm where I need to cut the hole for the main. So yeah, that's pretty close. How deep is it? Probably something like that. This one might be a little trickier. Again, it's kind of forgiving because it's going to be underneath the shifter boot, and I think, you know, the whole floor is going to float, as you can see. So there's a little bit of wiggle room. That's why I cut these holes a little bigger, and so it'll all float until it's finally in place to buy me, like I say, some wiggle room for my inexperience with this stuff. Okay, so everyone's been wondering which kind of headlights I'm going to go with. There you go. I'm going with the original dual rounds. Biff, get out of the way. And I ended up getting these from a local guy who's restoring an old 359, and he wanted to go with big 9-inch rounds that he's going to get off an old 1930s Ford. So he wants to go with super singles. Normally the singles are 7-inch. He's going to go with 9. So he traded me these for my old air cleaners. If you remember in earlier videos, I had the original ones. They were a little rusty, but they could have been restored. But I wasn't a big fan of them. But they had the kind of the warm air intake, the Canadian intakes, as they say, where it takes warm air in from the engine compartment, runs it through the filter, and then back in to the engine. So I obviously went with the stainless. So get these cleaned up. I still need mounts, but there's a fellow on Instagram that's going to give me a good deal on his original straight mounts. And then I got these nice halogen bulbs from Lesco, because the original bulbs that go with these don't throw a lot of light. So I'm going to go with halogen. So there you go. That's how that's going to look. Cool. It's amazing what a coat of paint does to make stuff look decent again. So we'll let that dry, and then we'll get going back on the inside. So I did a little, I figured, I took the panels out that I had cut, and I thought, you know what, I'm going to paint some of the areas just along the trim and up in the roof where I won't be able to put the foil and the foam, just to have it look decent until I get an interior put in there. So I figured let's paint it before we get the floor in, and we don't have to cover it up. So So I just did a little bit of painting and now we'll get back to flooring. Okay, if you're going to try and tackle this, one learning, again, as I always say, I learn as I go. So as I was going and I was building the boards from the outside, I was putting everything in an angle. And so then I decided to draw a center line, and then I realized that I was not going straight. So to get the proper spacing from the center line over on both, I'm now going to have to notch that little corner. And now this isn't quite right. So again, live and learn. Okay, so I notch that little corner out so I can shift everything over and straight. And thank goodness the boot's going to cover this up, and it looks like it's going to be big enough to cover up my mistakes so I don't have to waste this board, which is good. And hopefully we're keeping them straight from here on out. Okay, so I got that board in now. Because these guys have that tongue and groove, you actually got to tilt this board in and then flip it down, so I had to notch out for the seatbelt hook. But we're making progress. I mean, it's far from perfect, and if I didn't already have that name little by little for this truck, I think that would be a good one for it. It's funny, I was at Stall Peterbilt earlier this week with my daughter, and we stepped into a new 389 and it had carpet in it, and she goes, "Dad, I think carpet's way nicer than what you're doing." So I don't know, we'll see. If I can't get all the way across by the end of the night tonight, I think I will chuck this all away and go with carpet. Oh well, keep trying. Yeah, that's coming along real nice. I have to say that that Neuco foam, you know, helped to level out the floor pretty decent. I mean, look at these joints. They're really nice. So I think that's going to work quite well. I still need to do little short boards, and I'll likely have to screw the tops to keep them from moving around. But I think when we get the shifter boots screwed through the floor here and the subfloor, that'll hold the front of this. And then of course the seats will hold the back, and there's still plenty of stud left there, so I think the seats are gonna bolt in without any trouble. And I have to say that my best friend with this whole project has been the I don't know what I call it, the death wheel, but it just cuts through this vinyl floor like butter, but it makes some wicked dust. So if you saw in the time lapse, I was actually wearing a mask, but that was a nice little trick to notch out all the little corners and such, especially if you need just to trim just a little bit more just to get it to work. So yeah, I'm very pleased with that. So there's probably a more professional way of doing this, but I just decided to use cardboard as a template and just keep trimming it. Again, lots of arts and crafts right now on this truck. And then just keep adjusting and trimming until I finally get the right the right kind of shape, and then I'll use it as a template to cut around the or to cut out the actual vinyl board. So yeah, just keep picking away at it. Again, I'm sure there's a better way to do this, but I just figure things out with what I got laying around. That's close, pretty close. Now that I removed the trim here, a little more, I think we might just have a winner. Okay, same process on this side. Just did a cardboard cutout. I'm trying to not bore you too much with this flooring project and just show some highlights, but we'll see if this last big board anyway, fits the way I want it to. I'm doing lots of trimming. I'm going to get to some more interesting stuff though, I promise, like installing seats and maybe some new gauges once I get this done. That's getting pretty close. No, not quite. You gotta make sure you get these connections made. Oh, I could sure use another set of hands. But I suppose I made it this far with this truck. There. I like them apples. Okay, so I'm making some progress on these little guys. The problem is they're gobbling up all my boards because I only need 12 or 13 inches. But I need the little fit at the end, which is only on the one end of the board, obviously. But I think this is going to work okay. I'll probably put a couple screws in just to hold these guys down. Oops, there, I already moved it. But you get the idea. So I'll keep working my way across. And for those who think that, what's he doing with that color? It's kind of gray. Keep in mind, this blue is going away, and I'm gonna go with a gray. Just trying out the sleeper. I'm gonna go with a gray similar to the color that's already in this sleeper. So I think the gray door panels are gonna really complement the kind of gray wood floor. So yeah. Okay, I do not want to do that again. That was a lot of work to get around the steering column and the shifter and the pedal. I think that'll work out all right. It's all snapped in. Actually, a nice tight fit. Oh, fun. Well, there you go. One floor. Not perfect, but you know, not bad. And a heck of a lot nicer and cleaner than that old ratty carpet that was in there when I found it. All right, so now on to the next thing. Let's throw some shift boots on there and maybe throw in a seat or two. Okay, I'm going to try and chuck one of the seats in here, hopefully for the last time. These things are not light. I want to scratch my floor. Close. There you go. These work again. Nice. Okay, so those who don't know, seats and semis are actually air ride. So there's a little airbag in there. So I actually have to connect this up to truck air. But for now, just to get it high enough that I can get the nuts on, I'm gonna have to just do some rig in here. So that's up. And we'll give her some air. There you go. There. So when you sit on it and ride, it softens the ride up a little bit on these old trucks. Newer ones actually have, I'm jiggling the camera pretty good. Newer ones actually have airbags on the cab and the sleeper, so the whole assembly floats, but not this old girl. This truck is old school hard mounts, so I'm going to enjoy that. But definitely one of the things is you'll see a lot of the so-called cool truckers, they lower their seat all the way down, and I'm a big fan of that as well. Low seat and high shifters. I should probably get extensions on them and have them way up high. That's the cool way to ride. But I don't know. Yeah, I'm gonna have to let this guy down to where I still get a little bit of suspension float, so it's not too hard on my back and it's still low enough. I don't think that's too bad. It's probably about a little over a foot off the floor. The guy that actually sold me the headlights, what he was thinking of doing is countersinking this plate and dropping it down about 6-8 inches, so this mount is down below, so you can still have air in your seat and still have your just your head sticking out of the top of your head sticking out of the side window. But I wish him luck. I'd like to do that as well, but for now I think this is gonna have to do. Man, those look good. So a lot of the warnings all over this thing are talking about how make sure that you block it up when it is on the airbag and you got your hands here, because if the air ever lets go, this thing's going to slice down and take my fingers with it. So leave that propped up, and then I'll go and find some washers and some nylon lock nuts, and we'll tighten that down. So I've said it in the past, you can never have enough nuts and bolts lying around for a project like this. I thought I had tons of 9/16 nuts and bolts, but I'm running a little short. I've obviously used them somewhere else around the truck all the way to get this project done, but I have to go back to the old nut and bolt supply house and get some more. So there we go, bolt it in, make sure I don't bump the camera. Oh, there we go. That is nice. Oh, can't wait. So there you go, 2 seats bolted in. That's looking sharp. Again, not a lot of room to get into the sleeper. It's gonna be a little tricky to climb over the seats, but at least the driver and the passenger will be comfy. So I still can't get over how good this thing starts. All right, 2 new seats are in, new floors in, and I found myself a camera woman. Thanks for helping me, Kaylee.
You're welcome.
So Biff, what do you think? Should we go for a little ride around the yard? Yeah, I thought so. All right, let's give her a go. And this thing starts. Okay. Shift this thing in reverse. Power steering's starting to loosen up. It's a lot smoother than it used to be. Good stuff. Watch your knees there, sweetie. Oh, this is when I wish our driveway was about 20 miles longer, Kaylee. Yeah. It's still nice to get the sense of what it'll be like to drive. These new seats are amazing, and I have to say that that Noiko insulation really quieted it down.
Sure does.
When I was rolling around before, you could really hear the motor and the tranny noise. So as tempting as that is, I think we're gonna have to just turn her around and back her and put her back in her spot. There's still a few more things to have it legal on the road. We need headlights, which I got a line on. I need those mounts. We need tail lights, signal lights. I got to get this thing fixed. And of course we need seat belts. And then I think we're ready to actually drive it off the driveway. But you know, we're getting real close now. This has been one heck of a project. Really appreciate all the support from YouTube, Instagram, and my family for putting up with this. This is actually my 17th anniversary today, so I better put the truck away and go get cleaned up and take my beautiful, wonderful wife out for dinner. So with that, there's the wrap on this episode. Hope you enjoyed it, little by little.